everything. How's Ghana treating you? How long have you been in Ghana?
4 weeks now.
4 weeks.
Yes.
4 weeks. So you've been here through the campaign, the election period at least.
Yes.
You voted?
I voted. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Within the Greater Accra region, or
Within the Greater Accra.
within the Greater Accra region.
Yes.
Oh, and first, let's start with, and I guess that's what brought you to Ghana essentially,
Yes,
the elections.
Exactly. Yes.
What do you make of the elections in general?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Sena, and good morning to you and your listeners. I think that prior to the elections, one of the key things every Ghanaian looked for was the fact that this was a kind of a very high-stakes kind of election. Everybody was yearning for change, and thankfully the NDC promised the good people of Ghana change, positive change that would make a real impact. And so people were very excited about the opportunity of the 24-hour economy, the fact that President Mahama will live by his word, following people already know his track record. And so people had hopes, and all of us played our role, and of course we all saw the outcome of the elections. Now we're talking something close to 58%, probably after the
and the other nine consensus.
But of course, this is unprecedented, Sena, that 1.7 million votes difference tells you that people really wanted this. And so we are all excited, but at the same time, we hoping that we would definitely meet the expectations of all Ghanaian people. So we are all excited at the moment. Thank you.
In fact, you refer to the gap.
Yeah.
And I guess you're expecting a win, but we're expecting it to be by that margin.
Not at all. We expected to win with a comfortable margin, but this is unprecedented, Sena. I recall outgoing President Akufo-Addo mentioned that he beat John Mahama in the 2016 elections by 1 million votes. And probably the thinking at the time was, okay, this is going to be the biggest.
Yeah.
But now we've seen a tsunami, So I think that many of us did not expect this kind of margin. But it tells you that the Ghanaian people are very discerning, and we know what we want. If you are being truthful to the Ghanaian people, they know. So we can't take the voter for granted. And so this is, for me, a big lesson to all politicians on all divides, on all, from all parties and everything. If you are blessed with the mandate of the Ghanaian people, don't take it for granted. Yes.
Well, two things. One, for the government, because for this to have happened means there was a certain level of discontent with the approach, the leadership of the government. Where do you think they failed to have attracted this kind of verdict on the way they've managed Ghana over the last 8 years?
Sena, a number of reflections. You recall even the Honorable Kennedy Ajapong once mentioned that, look, the MPP lost this election in 2022. When you stop listening to the concerns of the ordinary Ghanaian, when you feel that what you are doing is the right thing because you've got power at that particular instant, and therefore you will do as you please, the people would definitely revolt against you when the time comes. And that is what we just witnessed. For instance, even the MPP led by the Honorable Apia Kubi, right, led some of their MPs to say, look, the way the economy was going, you needed to remove the finance minister at the time. It became a problem. That didn't happen the way the people wanted. So even among their own people, like, they lost it at that time. So the refusal of the president at the time to remove the finance minister, the refusal of the president to downsize during a very very hard times. The economy was going through crisis, and you expected that the president would have reduced the number of ministers, done a lot of things to curb the situation and led by example so that all others would align. The president asked all of us Ghanaians to tighten our belts, right? And at the time, they didn't even have belts themselves, you know. So these are some of the things that when you tell the people that this is the situation and let's do this, and your own ministers demand that, okay, times are tough, but let's ensure that things are done in a certain way, and you blatantly refuse, definitely the people will prepare and wait for you at the right time. And I think that is what we just witnessed in this election.
And then let me come to your party, because yes, failure does not because Ghanaians still needed to make a change.
Yeah.
But who do we change in favor of? What did you think your party got right when it came to the Ghanaian, or were they just beneficiaries of the fallout from the failure?
When you look at the structure of our economy, and then of course you look at our successive governments, so far in the Fourth Republic, governments have been between the NPP and the NDC. We have seen a track record of both governments, and especially we saw the work John Mahama did from 2012 to 2016.
Yeah.
We have evidence to show. Sena, you get to Terminal 3, and it's one of the best. You get to UGMC, the hospital, and it's there to show. You get to the Ridge Hospital, you see the schools, right? The community day schools and all that. Now, these are just a few of what people can still point to, people can still see and say, look, we gave this man the mandate and this was what he had to show. And we looked at, we can then go further to look at the economy in terms of what the exchange rate was. In 2016, prior to that, we had almost about 4 CD to the dollar, and all that. So people relatively thought, okay, if we saw this government in power. And then these people came and promised us heaven on earth. And said, no, we're going to bring the rate down to 1 CD to $1. Okay. And so on that basis, the president decided, okay, I'm bringing on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was at the time a judge, the economic whiskey, and he was coming to do just that. That was one thing. And he preached to us, not so. We were all part of the Ghanaian people who listened to all the lectures everywhere about how they would transform the economy from taxation to production. Sena, 8 years down the line, it is from taxation to taxation. That is what we have witnessed. And you do not expect that a discerning, a more elitist, you check our literacy rate. Okay, people are discerning. People know what they want. And so if based on your promises, they thought that at the time you would come and make things better for all of us. And 8 years down the line, all you have to say is to give excuses and make reference to the government, the previous government, still using the previous government as your yardstick,
Okay.
then you had no business in the first place demanding the will of the people to give you power. But that is exactly what we have witnessed in the past 8 years. And so, for me, this resounding victory just tells you that people continue to discern, they know who has done what for them, and so they look at the options. So I don't think that the NDC per se is just a beneficiary of, say, luck. No, because people have seen and said, well, yes, we talked about corruption in the past, but what have we seen today? All right, and that's what I was just listening to you when you read the statement from the incoming president and talking about the team that would spearhead the oral. Okay, and these are some of the things that probably let's wait and see. Okay, they've had their 8 years. Let's see, what did they, who did they what sort of corruption did they get from the NDC? So let's also allow the next 4 years, let's allow the team to work, and maybe we can make a fair judgment as to which of the two governments has been corrupt. You get that? Yes. Just a simple example. I'm sure I remember Victoria Hammer during Mahama's time. She was only heard saying that, oh yeah, I think I would love to have $1 million in my account, right?
Yes.
An intent. And yet she was relieved of her post. Today, somebody was said to have had millions of dollars under her bed. And what did they do? They wrote her a love letter. It says, oh, this will pass. You understand? So that tells you how, between the two, President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo, how the leadership would confront or would handle corruption-related issues. You get that? So I think Ghanaians have really shown that nobody should take them for granted. And I think that's what we are seeing today. And we just hope that we would not just meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people, but we would exceed if we have to hold on to power after 2028, you know. But of course, there are lessons for all political parties, and we are happy to have benefited from it today. And so we looking forward to what the incoming president, how he would implement the policies, the promises that we made to the Ghanaian people. Yeah.
One last thing on the election, then I'll go to exactly what you do, because you're a link consultant, but I'll come there. What are the lessons you think the incoming administration should draw from the outgoing one that should guide its actions in government?
Thank you. First, power belongs to the people. Note that just as the people have voted massively for the NDC this year, things can change.
Okay.
And things will change on a number of factors. One, we have a social contract with the people. Okay, what did we tell the people? Okay. If we tell the people we're going to scrap betting tax, e-levy, and we're going to implement 24-hour economy, and we're going to, these are things people want to see. Okay. We're going to structure the economy in such a way that we don't have to struggle to get out of Ghana to go in search of greener pastures elsewhere, that there will be jobs for the youth, you know. So these are the things people expect of the incoming government. And for me, I think that is what the MPP failed to, because they've said, we're coming to transform this economy from taxation to production. 8 years down the line, we have not seen what that, where that economy or production or whatever, we have not seen that. And people are trooping out of Ghana in droves on a daily basis. You get that, because literally people have no hope, especially the youth. So when you have a country where your youth believe that there's no hope, and so the best is to get out of the shores of your country in search of greener pastures. And then we turn around to blame brain drain and all that. I think that these are lessons that the NDC must pick from, or must draw from, the outgoing government. And we should be able to do implement our policies first and foremost, and look at the best way to continuously engage the Ghanaian people. You know, I think that one key problem in our economy is always about the way we implement whatever policies we have. We have some of the brilliant policies, Sena, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes a different thing. You get that. Now, how do you engage your people to say, look, this is a policy, brilliant. In the course of implementing this is what we have realized, so that you carry the people along in the throughout the implementation stages, so they even appreciate that, okay, we have implemented it, but there are, so for instance, like the free SHS, okay, the NDC started with, in 2015 progressively implementing the free SHS, and you know, and this government came and said, no, we are implementing it fully from day one, without recourse to what the approach the NDC tried to use. So they implemented it, and what did we witness? Became what? Traffic lights, red, gold, green, and there were all the blame game about the challenges in the implementation. We talk about funding, and there was probably no dedicated funding for it. And of course, you remember some time back there was an interview that was Al Jazeera or BBC. At that time, Akufo-Addo didn't even know directly where the funding was coming, you know. And so they then say, oh, we're going to draw funding from here, we're going to draw funding from there. And we even got wind that, oh, we're using funds from the petroleum, our petroleum proceeds. You get that, to implement free SHS. But Sena, come to think of it, when you talk about your petroleum, I mean, one of your key resources, and you don't have, what depletion policies have we got? Even if we have that, what do we think that the best way is to use our petroleum proceeds to implement free SHS? Is that sustainable? You get that. So these are some of the things. So when it comes to implementation, it's always a challenge, and the best way is to continuously carry your people along. For me, I think people will appreciate what you're doing and the challenges, and then how you're going about trying to solve the problem, because they voted you to come and solve problems. And it doesn't mean that you must immediately surmount the problem, but carry them along, and they would be able to say, yes, we have seen this, we've seen that, you've done well, maybe hopefully we can renew your mandate for you to continue. You get. So these are some of the things I believe the NDC must draw lessons from the way the MPP has governed.
Well, great. Well, if you just join us, we have Dr. John Ayaba in studio. He's a link consultant, also chairman NDC Scotland branch. First, let me start with what you do. lean consultant. What does that mean? Exactly what do you do?
Right. Okay. So you're mainly a consultant.
Okay.
You provide services for people, organizations that require your services in terms of their operations. I do human resources, especially with regards to learning and development, trying to upskill employees to be able to deliver or perform. So these are some of the things that I do. I'm also a part-time lecturer back in Scotland. Yeah. So these are the things.
Because it sounds like as if you are the man who walks in to reduce staff. You do the cuts.
That's well, it's a perception.
Okay.
But you would want to put the right person in the right role.
Okay.
And you would want to ensure that the person you put there, you can have one person who would be able to perform a role for 3 people or 4 people. And so it takes, because you would have to then look at what are the processes involved and how can I streamline these processes, and people are clear with roles, responsibilities, and so they are able to deliver. You would want to upskill to make sure people are motivated, that they feel that, oh, I am appreciated in my role, in my business or in my organization. So these are some of the things that you do. You have to do a skills audit to know what would be the next leadership, sort of set of leadership within that entity. And so these are all the things that you engage in.
Now, and that tells exactly where I'm going, because I think over the past, Kufuor promised a lean administration. That was Kufuor. I don't recall whether President Mills did.
President Mills did.
Okay, President Mills did.
Yes.
Akufo-Addo was the father of all promises when it comes to lean governments. He walked into power and he doubled. He was doing 122 ministers, among others. Former president-elect now, John Dramani Mahama, of course he's a former president too, President-elect John Dramani Mahama is promising, in fact, he's put a number to it. He wants to do 60 ministers. But first of all, before you get to the point of even saying, I want to do 60 ministers, it means you have to do an assessment of whether or not you're in the position where you can carry as many as you're putting forward. Now, so first, when it comes to where we are, what do you think? In terms of the economy specifically, when you talk about the economy, we talk about Ghana's ability to do the simple things that a state is supposed to do. What do you think we are?
Sena, as a people, we are inherently wasteful.
Okay.
Wasteful in everything, including the way we have managed our operations, especially public sector.
Okay.
And so you would realize that successive governments would always say, when I come, I would want to run a lean operation or a lean team or a lean government.
Okay.
Maybe I am of the view that sometimes it is viewed in a very simplistic way.
Okay.
To say, okay, if I come...
Please kindly draw the mic closer to you so that I can... Yeah.
If I come and Sena was the leader before me, and Sena had 8 people working under him, and I come and I can reduce to 5, should that be a lean team?
Okay.
You get me?
Yes.
So every organization, every entity wants to become lean with time. Lean originated from the Toyota production system. Today, when we talk about cars, many of us prefer a Toyota car.
Yes.
It's a culture of continuous improvement, a culture of eliminating waste from the system. a culture of ensuring that people are continuously motivated to be part of an entity. A culture of people knowing that I have clarity in my roles and responsibilities, So these are the sort of things that the lean concept, lean thinking organizations try to do. In fact, there are many organizations in Ghana that you walk in and you say, how can this organization be in Ghana? And you walk out into there and you say, look, we are so disorganized as a people. We are so wasteful. People, you put wrong people in positions they can't perform and all that. And yet you go into an organization within your country and see that, look, they have epitomized what you term a lean culture, a culture that you have high-performing employees. You don't need numbers. You redeploy. You get me? You redeploy where they are needed, but you make sure that your structure is working. Lean is a top-down management practice. And so where you have the top championing and getting the buy-in of all the people involved, and everyone is aware of what you want to do, it motivates everybody to get along. And then you work with experts to be able to ensure it's a smooth implementation. So back to the question of, what we have from successive governments. So we have seen that some governments would say, okay, we want to run a lean government, and what they do is simply to reduce the number of ministers and all that. That means you must have done some work, and to say we are going to merge these ministries, and then but if you merge, so supposing we have 46 ministries, and you come and say, okay, I'm going to merge, and then I'll reduce that to half, so I'm going to have 23 ministries. Okay, so I would run with 23 sector ministers. Not so.
Yes.
What happens to the processes?
Okay.
That is usually, that's why I said the challenge is always in the implementation. Okay. You can simply do all that, reduce the ministers and everything. But when people don't get results, your customer is not happy with a service. So listen, I went to University of St. Andrews as part when I was pursuing my PhD. I went to collect data, the University of St. Andrews. And they have streamlined their processes that a student will make a call or would send an email. And that from the time the email is received to feedback, 15 minutes. The student must have feedback.
15 minutes.
So you get that. So you need to map out, take out the waste. Okay. That we want to reduce waiting time.
Okay.
So if your processes are streamlined, you have you've merged your ministries and everything, fine. You are able to reduce the waste, the cost. Instead of giving 2 V8s, maybe you now buy one. Okay. Instead of paying 2, you now pay 1. Okay, that's fine. But how about the work? So now we map out and streamline the processes involved so that services that public sector is supposed to render to customers is done faster, and people say, oh, this is good. Like the passport office. We streamline the passport office and ensure that there are no queues. You don't have waiting time. And all these things are part and parcel of how we implement lean right from the top to the bottom to ensure that, if you want a passport and you submit your application today, this is the process it's going to go through, and maybe in 24 hours you get feedback, your passport will be ready this day. You get that. But so it's challenging.
You're eliminating waste, you're reducing numbers, but the target is not only about saving money, but becoming much more efficient.
Efficiency is the name. I mean, when you talk about lean, you're talking about efficiency, operational efficiency.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So it's not the way, because when you say lean, I'm thinking you're just cutting people. but, but you're saying that your target is efficiency.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so that is what you should look at. So that's what I'm saying, that sometimes we look at it in a very simplistic way.
Okay.
So if we look at it as simply, oh, the number was 8, I have reduced it to 5, and say that is lean, that is not. But you need to then go drill down to the processes involved in delivering to customer satisfaction. A customer wants value. So whatever, in public sector, there are a lot of transactional activities. Some transactional activities do not add value, but they are necessary. You maintain those ones. There are other transactions that do not add value and are not necessary. They are waste. You eliminate those ones. That reduces your waiting time. So these are some of the things that you will do as part of the process of streamlining to ensure that the one person sitting up there is able to deliver to customer satisfaction. And then you have, why do we go out and say, oh, I went abroad and the system there is working? You know.
So the target for you should be a lean public sector.
Yeah.
And that necessarily is not on the matter of numbers, but efficiency.
Efficiency.
Okay.
You know. And so there's
And
a lot
cutting out waste.
Yeah, cutting out waste. There's a lot involved. But
because constantly everybody says I run a lean government, and you're talking about the appointments that they will make.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the machinery that's behind that is running the system, that never gets touched.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that is where I think the focus should be to support the efficient implementation of a lean operation, be it public or private sector. Yeah.
I see. That's quite interesting. But then what do you make of, because the incoming government has put a number forward, 60, a total of 60.
Yeah.
What do you make of the number they've chosen? That's for the ministers, and the promise is I will make so many other political appointments in terms of staffers, presidential staffers, among others. What do you make of that?
So I think that promise probably would have been made with some background work.
Okay.
You know, they would have gone through the process to say, at the moment, this government is running with 120. Okay. We all thought this was an elephant-sized government, and that is the case. Because if you look at many developed economies, they don't even have this kind of government size of government. You get that. So we all thought this shouldn't be job for the boys as usual. It should be about people who are experienced, about people who know what they know what they're about and can deliver. Okay. You get that. But what did we hear? The response we had at the time was, we need this number to be able to deliver on our promises. But have we had that with this same number? Have we had the results, the expected results? No.
So in the end, for you, the results are what matters?
Yes, the results would... No, you see, if you're making... That was what he said, the former president, the current president said, that, look, it's about the results. We need this number to be able to deliver. That was the response we got from Akufo-Addo. Even with the 120, it's been an abysmal performance. Okay. You get that? And now Muhammad says, no. I'm going to have this number. So 120, I'm going to do 60. But I tell you, even a thorough assessment, you can do with less. Okay, even though we are not there yet, but it's possible.
But if you look at
You get that, but-
and I'm sure you've done an assessment
Yeah.
of your own party's manifesto.
Yeah.
I've looked at the party's manifesto and I realized that it's shaped quite differently. These are not promises. These are things that you look at and say, no, these are deliverables.
Yeah.
So you can actually do an assessment of the manifesto when you look at it. Now, for a party that puts to get forward this kind of agenda, should your focus be on the numbers or rather than thinking about how to deliver? Because if you cut the numbers to 60 and you're unable to deliver, you also come and blame the numbers, your inability to have the people in place to do the job. What should be the focus for the former president? Because you're saying leanness basically will be determined by the results you get.
So, well, of course, I think that the government, the president and his team did quite some work before they arrived at the numbers, and they are well aware of the results or the expectations of the people. You get that. You can't just say, this is a number I'm putting there without thinking of whether or not that number can deliver on the results. You get that. So for me, I believe that kind of assessment has been done already. I think that maybe the nitty-gritties, and of course, the people at the top are just providing leadership.
Okay.
You get that. When you go down to where the work actually happens, that's where you need the experts to be on the ground to make sure that the work is done. But the people at the top say, look, like Mahama is going to provide lean leadership. Okay, a leadership of integrity, a leadership that would ensure efficiency, a leadership that would ensure accountability, a leadership that will ensure that you are continuously improving your processes to meet the expectations of your people. That is the kind of leadership he's going to provide. Okay, and he would devolve that downwards to the 60 or so that he's going to run with. So they would all have the same mindset. And definitely once that continuously cascade downwards to the operational level, then you would expect that people are going to do what they've been asked to do. They are supposed to deliver on the results. You remember a few days ago he was like, if you're coming to me for appointment, and your aim is not to work diligently to deliver results to the people, then don't come. You get that? So that is already a caution to anybody who would be lucky to have that opportunity to serve. And so these are some of because he would demand accountability from you. You get that? Because that is his mindset. That is the philosophy that he's going to bring on board. You get that? For me, my worry is sustainability.
Okay. Sustainability.
Yes. Why do we say this? We started by saying that President Kufuor promised running a lean government.
Yeah.
What happened?
He came to apologize and say that he didn't know that this is.
President Mills did some good work, reduced this thing, but like I said, it's not just about the reduction of the numbers and everything, but the work itself. You get that. And then our transitions. So even if Mahama implements a very successful lean operation and exits power in 4 years, right? Do we have, and another person takes over?
Okay.
Would that person continue in the same kind of operation to make sure that we consolidate our gains so that we are looking at the interest of the people? Other developed countries, these things, your lean operation and everything is standardized. at this, I mean, below the political class. You get that? So whether or not you exit, the system will continue to run in the interest of the people. But the challenge here is because we have not had that sort of consistency in our crop of leadership, trying to push and ensure the implementation of an efficient process, governance process. This person will come and say, I'm going to do this. Tomorrow, another government will come with its own manifesto and wins power and then decides to throw whatever you were doing overboard and say, okay, even if you were making gains, if I continue and is successful, they'll give credit to this one. You get that? So how sustainable will an efficient process be when we talk about successive government? Unless, of course, we're going to use our supermajority to streamline things and to enact laws that would make sure that not just at the sectorial levels, things are standardized and done in a certain way. You get that? So that we don't, 8 years from today, we don't come and we are complaining about the way our passport service operates, and say there are delays and all manner of things. You get that? We don't get to a particular sector and say, this sector, I went there, I requested for this, it's taking me God knows how long. The person didn't even know what he or she was doing, because we put people in without proper assessment, without doing without upskilling them, without holding people accountable. If you go to private organizations, they have performance management processes they implement. And you must have goals at the beginning of the year, and you would account at the end of the year. If they see that you are not performing, you get out. You get that. So in the private sector, that is completely standardized. In our
Interestingly, this is the public sector.
Yes.
And ultimately, if you go back to all the people who have made these promises, it all goes back then to the leadership. Because you see now, President Akufo-Addo, the inefficiency of his government has been talked about on many occasions, on TV, on radio, being discussed largely, but it seems not to really. What type of leadership should former President Mahama provide within the context? Because you're talking about leadership for a lean, you said he'll be providing lean leadership from the top. What would this mean if it's to achieve this lean government that is promised? If it's not only about the numbers of ministers.
Right. So that's what I started by saying. A lean leader is one who ensures that there is, integrity. He is able to apply key principles of lean management. And when you talk about lean management, making sure that your leaders respect people. People are your number one assets. When you respect people, when you make sure you have the right person in the right role, when you make sure you hold people accountable, you make sure you do not encourage wastage. Okay, you sought for a budget of 5 million to do ABC, and that budget was given to you. Okay, or at the end of the year, what do you have to show for that budget? So, but here how many times do we hold people accountable for what they do? You get that. So providing that kind of oversight and transparent leadership while respecting people, making sure that people constitute the main thing of your government, you will be, and this same philosophy is cascaded downwards. We will be making significant inroads on how we deliver public sector accountability. So that is what I would say. So you would expect a more a firm, transparent, and I don't know, but of course, the cautions from President Mahama will tell you clearly the kind of leadership he wants to provide, a leadership of accountability, and he will not encourage any wastage in his system. And I think that would be the basis for driving a lean leadership.
Doc, we have to bring this to a close, and maybe some concluding remarks from you to end this. And of course, okay, first.
Yeah, so I think that the Ghanaian people have spoken and spoken overwhelmingly. The honeymoon will soon come to an end, and it is now about delivering on the promises. It is about time all of us, no matter where you find yourself, be open and committed to provide service in your small way. Because if you want to wait for the presidency alone to do things, I mean, there are some of us who even run our own enterprises. How are you applying yourself? How are you creating, once the environment is created, for you to help in the provision of jobs. We all look forward to the implementation of the 24-hour economy so we can take advantage of that. And I believe we beginning to witness investor confidence being whipped up gradually. And so we hope that Mahama's promise of a lean government, a firm and transparent government will give that level of confidence that would enable the economy to bounce back with time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. John Ayaba is Lean Consultant, Chairman, NDC Scotland branch. And I hope the branch is running
very well.
Because there are lots of, in fact, when you hear somebody's coming from Scotland, you expect to hear a different type of English.
Right. Yes.
So when you go there, do you speak like they do? Or you you can't match it?
I can't match it. It's. I remember when I first got there sometime, it was difficult. About 3 weeks or so, I was wondering whether I was in an English-speaking country until, But yeah, fortunately we were able to settle in and But Scottish are warm, It's a nice place to be.
Are warm even though the weather is very cold?
Of course, you expect that the weather is very cold.
Well, thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
We have to take a break. When we come back, Bernard Odotechi will join us in studio because, like I said, we have 2 guests today. That's Dr. John Ayaba, who is Chairman, NDC Scotland branch. He's a lean consultant. We're talking about the promise of a lean government, exactly what that means and what needs to be done to